Well, good evening, everyone. Meteorologist Michael Wilhite here with Southern Indiana weather. It is 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time, 7:15 p.m. Central Time, and it is Tuesday. I started to say Monday. Week is moving on. It is Tuesday, April 22nd. It is Earth Day 2014, and we've had a beauty around here for today, haven't we? 60s for a high temperature, which is not warm, but certainly not cold either. Plenty of sunshine. That north wind has really kept us down, but we got some 70s returning in the forecast and some very interesting weather to talk about too, which we'll get to here in just a second. Today's video update is sponsored by Metal Magic in Washington. You can give Chad a call at 698-8555 for all of your paintless dent repair needs. Remember, they have that traveling hail team as well, folks. We're in a lull in severe weather activity right now, but that doesn't mean we're going to be in sort of that lull for severe weather activity forever. In fact, I've got a couple of shots at severe weather to talk about tonight in the forecast. One on Thursday, which, as I mentioned last night, is a very iffy risk at best. And then another one potentially coming up on Monday, which looks a little bit better, but certainly nothing set in stone yet. We'll dive right into that here in just a second. So take Metal Magic's number down there, folks. You may end up needing them, and tell them Southern Indiana Weather sent you. All right. Still looking with temperatures in the mid to upper 60s right now. Not bad. Beautiful across the area. But again, those cold north winds have really pulled it down. If we just go ahead and take off the satellite here and our temperature data here, you can see a big storm brewing out to the west, and that's eventually going to come our way. In fact, we can expect a little bit more rainy weather to come to us here in just a little bit. Let's talk about Thursday, because Wednesday looks like a beautiful day. All right, it looks like mostly sunny with temperatures in the mid-60s area wide tomorrow. You can't beat that with a stick. That's looking like really great weather to get outside and do some things. Thursday, on the other hand, looks dry most of the day. However, we run a chance for some storms. Let me go ahead and show you future radar first, and then we'll get into the outlook and the severe weather outlook, and I'll show you exactly what I mean by that. Here's future radar, and as you go through the day on Wednesday, again, some storms approach to the west, but for us, it just, it is showing maybe the slight chance of a little isolated shower here late on Wednesday night. I'm not sure that I'm even buying that. At this point, that pretty much fizzles out. Probably won't amount to anything with the drier air that'll be in place. But then watch this as we go through the day on Thursday. The day on Thursday looks pretty good, but you've got a huge storm complex out to our west. And then by the time you get into the evening hours here, it arrives. In fact, here's 2 a.m. EDT, and you can notice this is on us. But here's the good thing about this. The system that I showed you on Thursday, last night we took a look at that system, and I showed you how the dynamics with this particular system on Thursday are just kind of iffy. I use the word marginal, but maybe the best way to say would be iffy. It's iffy whether we could get a strong thunderstorm out of that or not. It's possible, but it's going to depend on how much daytime heating we have. And the reality is, if future radar is to be believed here, it looks like the main line doesn't come in until well after dark, which would certainly lessen our risk for any severe weather coming in. If we just take a look at the outlook for Thursday, we're in that infamous C text, which basically tells us weather nerds to go down here and read all of the information down below. But we can hover over this probabilistic, and you can see that they have outlined our area in a 5% risk. Remember, a slight risk for severe weather is defined as 15% or above. So we are, as again, I call it marginal, but maybe the best way to say it would just be this is an iffy risk. Might get a strong thunderstorm or two out of there, but they're going to be pretty isolated. Yeah, it's not no chance, but it's not a very big chance either on Thursday. So not a whole lot to talk about with that system. Again, my opinion on severe weather is it's probably not going to happen on Thursday night at this point, the way things are looking right now. I think the storms are going to run through just a little bit too late in the day. The main threat that we would have it would be some gusty winds, if and only if we could get some storms to fire ahead of that main line moving in. Those might have a chance of being a little bit stronger if we can get some of that daytime heating. But future radar is not wanting to indicate that at this point. So again, it is an iffy risk. Now, the better chance for severe weather will come a little bit later on in the week. Let me go ahead and show you what the GFS says. And let's take a look at this. Here we have the storm system that moves in on Thursday night. That moves out. Again, it's not a whole lot to worry about. Pretty Friday to work with for us. In fact, even a pretty Saturday to work with. By the time Sunday hits into the afternoon hours, we got a little bit of rain and possibly some thunderstorm activity moving in. But into the Monday hours, according to the GFS, that's whenever we're going to really see some of that rain start to kick in. And then watch this as the low starts to go very negatively tilted, which you know what that means. It's a very strong low as well. Watch how it's bowing up. You got a warm front moving across the area here. You got a pretty powerful cold front moving in as well. As you move through this moves right over us. The GFS isn't wanting to make a whole lot of precipitation out of this. And remember, this isn't future radar that we're looking at here. This is accumulated precipitation over a 6-hour period. So it doesn't look like a heavy rainmaker according to the GFS model with this, but we could still see some strong storms out of it. If you take a look at what the Euro model says out of this, it is a completely different story. Remember, it's the same exact color bar that you see the GFS had, but notice how intense this is, and this would indicate a very linear fashion, I think, for storms, and a mode that would be warm front moving through here, cold front moving through here, storms just sort of moving up from the southwest and in training over each other would certainly lead more conducive to some severe weather, potentially even some flooding issues if the Euro model is to be believed out of that, but it's still way too off to be able to determine that at this point. But certainly the severe weather parameters are there. If we take a look at the upper level wind charts here on the Euro model, and you can see we've got a very, very, very dynamic upper level low just to our west and very powerful winds moving in over us. So certainly the wind energy is there. We'll go ahead and take a look at the GFS, what it says for that same time frame as well. And again, it's very dynamic. There's that closed low pressure to our west, upper level low, very powerful winds. Whenever you see these deeper shades of purple start to invade us, that's whenever you get a little concerned. But are all of the characteristics we need in place? No, not at all, because if we take a look at what the low-level jet does, the low-level jet over us is actually pretty non-existent, which would be sort of a kick in the gut to severe weather. So that would need to correct itself if we wanted to see anything severe. Instability-wise, the GFS does have us at a little bit of instability, so the fuel for the thunderstorms would be there, and you've got the wind energy there. We've certainly got a pretty potent enough cold front and low pressure system, warm front, all sort of centering around us to make for a lifting mechanism. So all we need for severe weather is there, but it's just that some of the parameters are a little bit more marginal. The thing that would concern me at this point would be the lack of the low-level jet in this point. So is it a guarantee for severe weather? And this would, by the way, be Monday. No, not at all. The way I've worded it in my 7-day outlook now is to just say that we have some strong thunderstorms possible and leave it alone at that. It's way too early to say that we will have severe weather. But what I can say at this point is we have some of the necessary parameters lining up that makes me say I want to watch this system and see how it evolves. Now, I said that about the system that's moving in on Thursday as well, and that's just pretty much fallen apart. So is it possible that this system on Monday could fall apart to just a rainmaker for us? Absolutely, but it's one that I'll be keeping an eye on. Nothing to worry about at this point, but I'll keep you updated as to how the situation evolves, all right? Let's talk about the temperature wise, because yesterday I told you about a bigger cool down that could end up happening next week, and as you can see from the modeling, it's still there, but it looks like it's going to be delayed a little bit. Yesterday the models were wanting to start it on Sunday and Monday respectively, depending on whether you were the GFS or the Euro. Euro said Sunday, the GFS said Monday, and they had a little bit of difference of opinions. Now they're still differing a little bit of opinions here as well, but what I can show you here is we're taking a look at the Euro model here, and you can still see a pretty significant cool down, but it looks like it starts on the 30th rather than on Sunday. Sunday's the 28th, the 30th. Sunday's actually the 27th. The 30th is actually Wednesday. So the Euro model is actually painting the cool down to come on Wednesday, and this would be high temperatures in the 40s and 50s for at least a couple of days out here. If we take a look at what the GFS says, it actually is putting this off now to the 30th as well. So again, both are in agreement now that it's going to be Wednesday before we start to see a drop in temperatures. In fact, the Euro model is actually saying that we could go to 80 again by Sunday evening. So very strong heating with that one. GFS not as aggressive with this at all. It is only suggesting upper upper 60s to near 70 for Sunday. So again, there are some very different approaches to how this storm system is being played out in the modeling, but all of them are agreeing that we will see a cool down behind this system eventually. It's only a matter of when it comes. This system comes out of the way and eventually moves on enough that the cooler air, I should say, starts to funnel in behind it. But now, rather than starting on Sunday or Monday, it looks like it starts on Wednesday. That's sort of the nutshell about it right now. I do want to note to you that not all of the models are in agreement with this. The global ensembles, the GFS ensembles model, take a look at what it says for Wednesday and Thursday. Rather than being in the 40s and 50s like what the GFS and the Euro are saying, the ensembles are actually saying near 60. So there is still some disagreements with this. It's still cooler. 60 degrees is about 10 degrees below normal, where we should be. Our average high temperature is about 70 degrees. So all the models are pointing to a below normal pattern for us. It's only a question of how far below normal. The GFS and Euro want to paint maybe even 15 or 20 degrees or more below normal for us, whereas the global ensembles here are suggesting more of about 10 degrees below normal. Going to be a cool down either way. It's just a matter of whether it's going to be a significant cool down or not. Something we will be keeping an eye on. All right, let's go to southernindianaweather.com and let's quickly take a look at your 7-day forecast sponsored by Ubelor & Sons. Clear skies tonight, down to 41 for your low. Mostly sunny tomorrow, a very pretty day, up to about 65 for your high. Not as cold either on Wednesday night, down to 46 only for your low. Then Thursday, mostly cloudy with those scattered showers and thunderstorms likely. Again, it's late in the day and maybe even into the Thursday night, into the overnight hours before we start to see some of it if future radar is to be believed. So strong thunderstorms are possible, but it's certainly not a guarantee. The risk for severe weather is pretty low that day. Again, it's a very iffy risk, and we'll leave it at that. On Friday, not warmer and beautiful skies, mostly sunny, up to 75. Weekend doesn't look to start out too bad either. A slight chance of a shower, but not until Saturday night. Otherwise, partly cloudy. 71. The rain potentially moves in on Sunday. Again, there are differences of issues on this. The Euro moves the rain in on Sunday. The GFS wants to move it in more towards Sunday night, so there are still some issues to work about as on our Sunday and Monday time frame, again, as to how much rain we're going to end up getting on Sunday. I gave it a 60% chance because I've been leaning a little bit more towards the Euro model at this point, but the reality is I could see it being more of a 40%. It's kind of it's up in the air literally at this point as to what we can expect for it. So eventually the rain will come. It's only a matter of how much. I'm going with a forecasted high of 74. That's way different than what I was forecasting yesterday. Again, I still believe that we're looking at a cool down, but that cool down looks to start more along the lines of Wednesday now. And then up to upper 60s to near 70 degrees on Monday. Again, we're just going to word it right now as strong thunderstorms are possible, and we'll leave it at that. Could there be some severe weather? Certainly, but we'll monitor it and we'll see. Some of the needed parameters are in place. Actually, most of the needed parameters are in place, but not all of them at this point. If you want severe weather this week, then you need to go out to maybe the Oklahoma, Texas, Kansas area on Saturday and Sunday. It looks like they could end up having a pretty significant outbreak out there. The question is that outbreak going to translate over to us on Monday by the time this storm system moves in? And that is still to be determined at this point. The models have much to work out. All right, that's it for tonight's video, folks. We'll have another one of these tomorrow, and lots to keep an eye on, but keep it right here to Southern Indiana Weather. We'll keep you updated with the latest. I'm Meteorologist Michael Wilhite. Have a great night, folks.